Christmas alone? Michael's face flushed. That's not fair. We have our own lives, our own families. And I have mine, Mary said quietly. Or I thought I did. Get out, Michael. Mom, get out of my room. And tell your siblings that if any of you try to sell my house out from under me, I'll go to every newspaper in the Twin Cities. How would that look for the developer who built his empire by stealing his mother's home? After Michael left, Mary's hands were shaking so badly she could barely dial Angela's number. But when the social worker answered, Mary's voice was steady. I need that lawyer you mentioned, and then I need you to help me make some changes to my will. The rehabilitation facility's social worker appeared in the doorway as Mary ended the call. Mrs. Peterson, you have some visitors. They say they're from the neighborhood association. Tom and Betty Henderson entered, followed by 3 other familiar faces from the block. Betty was carrying a folder thick with papers. Mary, Tom said gravely, we heard what your kids are trying to do. We've taken a vote. The association is filing an official protest against any rezoning requests for your property. And Betty here has some interesting information about historical preservation status for homes in our district. For the first time since her fall, Mary felt something like hope. As her neighbors pulled up chairs, as Betty spread out documents showing how they could protect her home from development, Mary realized something profound. Sometimes the family you need isn't the family you were born with. The grandfather clock might be silent in her empty house, but time was still moving, and Mary Peterson was done simply letting it pass her by. Let her children think she was a helpless old woman. They were about to learn that their mother still had some fight left in her. What none of them knew was that the battle over Mary's house was just the beginning. The coming weeks would test not just Mary's resolve, but the very definition of family itself. As she sat in her rehabilitation room, surrounded by neighbors who had become more like family than her own children, Mary felt the first stirrings of a revolution, not just for herself, but for every parent who had ever been discarded by the children they raised. The sun was setting outside her window, casting long shadows across the hospital parking lot. Somewhere in their expensive homes and busy lives, her children were probably congratulating themselves on finding a solution to their mother problem. They had no idea what was coming. The media storm broke on a Tuesday. Sarah was in the middle of a consultation when her nurse interrupted with an urgent message. The Minneapolis Star-Tribune was running a front-page story. Abandoned mother